All right, so this video by Stevanovic has garnered over 1.5 million views since it was uploaded about 6 months ago. And it goes over the fastest way to become a data analyst and actually get a job. So that's quite impressive for a data analyst video, 1.5 million views, I would say. But as a new data analyst myself, I kind of want to go over this video and kind of see what Stevanovic thinks, see what I think, and that is going to help you yourself get yourself your first data analyst job. So I just kind of want to react to this video and kind of give my thoughts and opinions on it. So let's get right into it.
Messing around with some data in Excel. It took me about 3 years to land a data analyst job at Heineken and another 2 years to land a job as a freelance data analyst at a big bank in Europe. And another 2 years to quit that job and travel the world full time, but more on that later. Can you become a data analyst way faster?
First of all, I just want to say his production quality is out of this world. I wish mine was even close, even half as good as his.
100%. I've wasted too many hours watching YouTube tutorials and I've spent money on Udemy courses that didn't add any value. So I often ask myself, if I could start over with data analysis, knowing what I know today, how would I go about it? And that's
So to me, it seems like his backstory is a lot different than mine. I went to school for something similar, in statistics. So that's kind of how my route went. It sounds like he kind of went on a self-education route. I don't know what his background is at school, but it seems like there's many different paths to the same goal here. But let's see what he has to say about that. Maybe he'll get into his background and talk about his college experience, if he even went to college.
That's exactly what this video is about. I'll remove all the fluff and give you the fastest path to go from zero to a full-time data analyst. And throughout this video, I will share the 3 major mistakes almost every data analyst makes. So stay tuned for those. The first thing
So yeah, that's something I'd like to incorporate in my own videos. Is kind of like, teasing stuff at the end. The 3 rules to become a data analyst. So let's just say in this video, you're going to get 3 rules to become a data analyst yourself.
beginner data analyst needs to pick is a tool or programming language for data analysis. I personally started off with Excel. Is that the best tool there is for data analysis? No. If I could go back in time, would I have started with something else? Also no, because apparently getting good.
So I like what he's saying there. I think Excel is a great segue into data analysis. And if you don't have access to Excel, because Excel does cost money, I believe in most cases, I'm sure if you can get it through your school or something like that, Excel's a great way to start. But if you can't, Google Sheets is free and it offers a lot of the same capabilities as Excel. So if you're starting to get into data analysis, you could do some simple aggregations, pivot tables, make some simple visualizations. If you haven't used Excel or Google Sheets, I definitely recommend trying it. Even just doing a basic project in one of those can get your kind of feet wet and get you an idea of what you're actually going to be doing as a data analyst. But if you want to see something like that, just leave a comment and I can even go through like a basic example for beginners in one of those programs.
Good at Excel was enough for my first data analysis job. And I personally recommend every single data analyst to start off with Excel. It's easy to learn, used in almost every company, and it has a wide range of applications for data analysis. But this is also its pitfall. Although you can do a lot of different things in Excel, it's not designed specifically for data analysis, meaning it has its limitations. You want to work with a very large data set? Well, good luck not punching through your computer screen after Excel crashes for the 27th time.
Yeah, I've experienced this even just like through my internship and through the first, month and a half or whatever I've been at my job. Working with Excel with large data sets, it's not fun. Even if you're just using it as an intermediate step to look at data, you can't really load in large data sets even just to look how it's formatted or anything. So that's kind of unfortunate, and that is the pitfall of Excel. But like he said, it does offer a lot of basic capabilities and really the option and functionality to do a lot of different things. You can really do your first entire data analysis project from start to finish in Excel, and I think you can find some actually, you would find that it's actually going to be very useful for you in your career. Excuse me, but if you're using Excel, I think you can definitely get some kind of entry-level role, probably not as a data analyst. I know he said it was enough to land him his first data analyst role, but I feel like data analysis as a whole has become a lot more competitive, and the requirements of the job, depending on what industry or what job or company you're going to work for, Excel might not be enough, but it's definitely something that you're going to want to know, and it's almost a rite of passage on your resume, I believe. I put Excel. I know how to use Excel on my resume, and they never mentioned it in the interview, but I did get the job, so just putting that out there too.
Excel is perfect for starting out, but once you've mastered Excel, it's time to move on to the more serious tools. And the most logical tool to learn next is SQL. Next to Excel, it is apparently the second most requested skill in data analyst job openings. Huge thanks to Luke Barrouz for actually scraping a lot of LinkedIn job openings to come up with these facts. You're a legend, man. Thank you.
What up, done nerds?
And the reason SQL is so in demand is because
All right, I just want to mention I have used Luke Barrouz, I believe it's pronounced. I hope it's pronounced that way. He's also an awesome data analysis channel, so check him out as well. And Stefanovic, they're both great. I've watched videos from both of them. But I do want to say, I don't know if SQL would be the next logical step for me, because SQL is helpful once you realize that the data directly pulling data directly the way it is, however, wherever you're getting it from, you realize that it might not be in the correct format. And SQL is going to be the best tool to get that data in the correct format. And until you know what type of format you need your data in, and you learn that by working in programming languages and working in different visualization softwares, which I know he gets to later in this video, something like Tableau or something like R or Python, and you need your data in a specific format to perform your analysis or to make a certain visualization, that's where SQL becomes really important. So personally, I don't know if jumping right from Excel to SQL is your best option. I would say jumping from Excel to something like R or Python or Tableau or Power BI or any of these other visualizations and data analysis tools would be the next logical step. But I'm never ever going to say that learning SQL is a bad thing, because I use SQL constantly in my job. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to give him a chance to explain himself, and I'm sure he has a good reason for it.
because it doesn't have the same limitations as Excel. Why is my accent suddenly changing to southern? I don't know what. With SQL,
Recording
you can
videos
extract,
is hard.
transform,
I
load
promise
very
you, it's so
large
hard
data
if you haven't
sets.
done it.
But the best thing about it is that SQL has its own very easy to use programming language. It's a great tool to add to your skill set as a data analyst, while also being a great stepping stone to some more serious programming. But before we get to that, every data analyst needs a visualization tool. There are dozens of BI tools out there, but having worked for multiple companies and projects, and having looked at probably hundreds of data analyst job openings, I've come to realize that the majority of companies are looking for people with experience with Tableau, Power BI, and ClickView. Here's the pros and cons of each, so you can decide which.
So I haven't used, let me see what he says. Is it ClickView or QuickView?
Looking for people with experience with Tableau, Power BI, and ClickView. Here's
ClickView. So I've never even heard of ClickView. If he's saying it's a popular tool, I'm sure it is. Personally, I have heard of Power BI, and it's been used at organizations that I've been at. But the easy visualization tool, I'll put quote unquote easy visualization tool that I have used is Tableau, so I can speak a little bit about that. But it is definitely a beginner-friendly, easy to learn, and easy to use data visualization and data analysis software. It's a lot of clicking and pointing, a lot of dragging and dropping. You're not going to be doing too much like coding, but you can make beautiful visualizations and you can get valuable insights from something like Tableau. And that's personally the next step I would be taking from Excel. And jumping from Excel to Tableau, you can do a lot of the basic things in Excel pretty easily. Once you get into more advanced stuff, it becomes more complicated than I think is what it's worth. And that's where something like Tableau comes in, because you can easily put your data into visualizations and add filtering options that just look a lot more seamless to an end user than an Excel workbook. But let's see what he has to say about these three, because I haven't heard of ClickView and I haven't used Power BI. So I am kind of interested to see what he says about those and see how those compare to Tableau myself.
Here's the pros and cons of each, so you can decide which suits you best. Power BI is part of the Microsoft stack, so it works smoothly with Excel and SharePoint. Besides that, it has a free version, and even the paid versions are relatively budget-friendly compared to the other BI tools. Next up is Tableau. Tableau is a BI tool with more extensive data visualization capabilities than Power BI. It seems to be just a bit more in demand in the job market than Power BI. It comes with a much higher price tag though, making it harder to learn if you're starting out by yourself. And then
All right, so it looks like I got a few questions, and for some reason, I cannot. All right, so George Remy says you should excel with it. I absolutely agree. You should absolutely excel with it. I think using Excel and excelling in Excel is a great accelerator into a data analysis job. And then I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. I'm sorry. How many concepts from college do you actually need for your data analysis jobs? In other words, how much was, and I can't see the bottom of this comment because it's cutting it off. There we go. How much was self-learned and how much did I learn in college? So I was a statistics major in college and I graduated in December. I would say that about 50% of my job so far has been self-learned, and it's starting to become more and more. And I would say that's mainly due to the fact that I have so much to learn about the company that I work for. And then on the other hand, the stuff I did learn in college, proper data cleaning techniques, which was super important, and that was a valuable class that I took. And I don't think it's available to everyone, but it was required for my statistics major, so that was like the most valuable class, and it was really just an introduction to R class, so like not even like a core statistics class, but that was probably the most useful class I've taken. I've also taken a data science course in R, which has been also helpful. I haven't used it as much. I would like to be able to use that information more because I think it is applicable, like fitting models and proper modeling techniques, which also goes into tidy data, because without tidy data or clean data, I call it tidy data, you can't fit models or they're poor models, because a lot of the modeling techniques or visualization techniques or any type of data analysis requires and needs clean data. And if you don't have it, you can have insights that are just totally wrong or misleading, or your visualizations look disgusting and don't make any sense, which are all problems that come up. I've seen it and I have to deal with it every day. So, but to answer your question, I'd say about 50% of what I do on a daily basis is self-learned. I've had to teach myself softwares. I've had to teach myself techniques. But really the things that I didn't have to teach myself was the actual analysis part, and the cleaning data part, which are two of the most important parts. So I'd say the two most important parts were covered by college for me pretty well. So hopefully that answers your question. And thanks for leaving a chat. If you guys have any additional questions, just leave them in the chat and I'll get to them as soon as I can.
there's ClickView, using in-memory technology, making it a super fast and responsive way of doing business intelligence, but also a pretty high price tag. And also,
I think
it's
ClickView
less
looks
in
kind of
demand than
disgusting.
Tableau and Power BI. I personally picked Power BI as my BI tool, although it might not be the fastest BI tool out there or the one with the most extensive capabilities. In my opinion, it can give you the most bang for buck when it comes to becoming a full-time data analyst. Before we move on to how to actually get good at data analysis and land that first job, there's one more thing we need to do as a data analyst. After you've mastered a BI tool, it's time to get into the more advanced analytics. I'm talking about which programming language.
I didn't even see what he said about Tableau. He must have glossed over it, but it is, out of those three, I would say Tableau would be my choice. But I don't know enough about the other two. ClickView, from what he showed on screen, looked absolutely disgusting. But it doesn't have to look beautiful depending on who it's going to. But sometimes outside sources want your visualizations to just look nice. And it makes sense. The nicer it looks and the cleaner it looks, the easier it is to gather insights from. And that's an important concept to learn as a data analyst as well. But Power BI, I don't know enough about to say one way or the other. I know it's a Microsoft tool, and I know he said it in the video. Depending on what else your organization uses or where you're at in your career, a Microsoft Suite tool might be better. It might just fit seamlessly into your other products that you're using. I don't know, but Tableau works great for my job, and I've used it in school as well. And it's there is a small learning curve once you get into more advanced data analyst. Not even data analyst, just like visualization techniques and understanding like the little nuances with Tableau. It is difficult, But there's another YouTuber who makes all Tableau content who I want to give a big shout out to, Tableau Tim. He's awesome. I've watched so many of his tutorials on Tableau. So if you want to learn Tableau, check out Tableau Tim.
To use when it comes to data analysis.
But this is what I'm most excited about. I love using programming languages.
Java, JavaScript, Ruby, C#, Python, R, C, C++, and many more.
And I'm a terrible
Luckily
programmer,
for us
but I do
data
love it.
analysts, we only have to choose between two programming languages.
R and Python.
So which
Called
one should
it.
you pick? I chose Python, but if I could go back in time, I
It's
would
almost like
choose
I watched the video.
Python. Why? Well, even though they're actually very similar, R is a programming language focused more on statistical analysis, while Python is a more general purpose program.
This is true. This is very true. R is more of a statistical analysis program, and Python is more of a general purpose programming language. But R is becoming, I think, more and more closely related to Python. If you haven't seen R Shiny dashboards, I have a video. I can link it up above for anybody who's not watching live. I'm not going to go through and do that now. But I'm going to show you real quick like what R Shiny dashboards can look like. And I think dashboarding is a huge part of what a data analyst does. So let's just see beautiful R Shiny dashboards. And you can see the power of R in a dashboarding setting. So this is something that was built in R, and that's all analysis. You can all filter on different things. You're going to see that a lot of them look similar because they're using similar packages, but you can even customize that with like CSS and HTML and to make them look completely different. Trust me, I've seen them look much different than this rather than using the base R packages. But using the base R packages for Shiny dashboards like this is another great way to make visualizations and filter. And R is a lot faster at large data than something like Tableau. So if you're working with large data and you have to filter down on it and you have to filter on a bunch of different things, using something like R or Python's going to be the way to go. And the capabilities are completely customizable to you. You can fit models that you can't fit, or if you can fit them in Tableau, you can't customize them the way you do in something like Python or R. But that's just my 2 cents. I love R. That's all I used at school. So
programming language that also happens to be very good for data analysis. And although R might be a little bit easier to learn, I would still go for Python as it's probably the number one programming language in the world. Meaning, if you get good at Python for data analysis, it might also open the door to a lot of different job opportunities.
I definitely have a biased view on that. I've also used Python for a previous role I had as a student researcher, and you can do so much in Python. It's ridiculous. And there's definitely a little bit more of a learning curve in R or in Python than there is in R. But I've used R so much that maybe I'm just biased in that sense that I think Python's harder just because I haven't dealt with it as much. But I don't think you can go wrong if you want to be a data analyst. Either one of these programming languages could be your first step into a programming language meant for data analysis.
So the path I took is Excel, SQL, Power BI, and Python. This is the path I would recommend as it worked out great for me.
And so that's the path he took, but the path I took was different just based on what I took in school. I think my path would have been Excel, R, Tableau, SQL. And I actually didn't learn SQL in school, and I wish I did. I got my data analyst job without knowing SQL or without knowing very much SQL. We might have covered it in like 1 week of a information sciences or information systems class that I took. But SQL is super important for a data analyst. And if you can learn that while you're in college, I think you're setting yourself up great. But learning Excel or Google Sheets, interchangeable. I would prefer Excel, but Google Sheets works just the same. Learning programming language, R or Python, R or Python. Learning a visualization tool like Tableau, Power BI, maybe ClickView. Those are going to be costly if you're working on it by yourself. But if your school has those softwares available, for example, my school, Penn State, had Tableau available to all students. Use that if you can, because it's a great tool to learn. A lot of organizations use it. And then learning something like SQL. That was the path that I took. I'm not saying that's the best or the only path, but that's the one that I took, and I did get a data analyst job. obviously he took a different route and he also got a data analyst job. So just keep those in mind.
But you can start off with any language or tool that suits you best, because whatever you pick, your first language or tool will definitely not be your last. So now that you know
Definitely.
which
I've
tools
learned
to
so
learn,
many since
let's
I got
talk
to
about
work.
how to actually learn it. And this is where beginners make the first major mistake.
My life would be completely different without the Google Career Certificate. I lost my job.
Sorry,
due to
Google.
COVID. My kids.
No free
The
lunch.
mistake most beginners make is that they try to learn by watching others. This is how most people learn data analysis. Some people go to Udemy and watch multiple 20+ hour courses and probably not even finish all of them, or they watch YouTube videos watching other people analyze data. But without actually writing code or analyzing data themselves, they give themselves a false sense of progress. Because
I totally agree with that. I think if you're going to learn, you should go in Excel, play around with some of the functionalities that are right on the top of the home screen. You can do a little bit and you can learn quite a bit. When you get stuck or you're trying to do something, look up a video. Learn that, implement it, keep going, and only stop to watch these videos on YouTube giving you tutorials. Only stop when and if you get stuck. I totally agree with him in that you're giving yourself a false sense of accomplishment and progress that is not really there. By just watching videos, you're not going to learn. And the same goes for learning something like Tableau. The same goes for learning something like R. Something like R, if you've never used it before, or Python, you probably need to start somewhere and watch a video. Once you watch that, try to implement them. When you get stuck, go back, watch a tutorial. Keep going. When you get stuck again, watch another tutorial. And then you're going to start to pick up the lingo, like what programmers use or what Tableau people use or what you would use in Excel. And then you can search specifically for the problem you're having and you'll get a lot better results rather than just watching somebody else do an entire analysis project from start to finish. And I see you're saying, aside from Tidyverse, what are your other favorite R packages and what can I use them for? So that's a good question. We use a ton of different packages. Let me think. So I don't want to give away too much with what I'm specifically working on. Well, Lubridate, I don't know if that's in Tidyverse or not. I can't remember. Lubridate is a great library for dealing with dates and converting like weird strings that would be representing dates into actual date objects. Another great one in the Tidyverse is dtplier. It's dplyr, but for data tables, and sometimes working with data tables is faster and more efficient than working with data frames in R. My favorite visualization package, probably, well, obviously there's ggplot, but I wouldn't say that's my favorite. Plotly is probably my favorite package. There's a lot more customization in Plotly than there is in ggplot. I'm trying to think. I know there's a couple others that I use all the time that I just don't think of the name because I always just load them in and don't even think of it. I don't know. I think that's a good start. Those are some good ones for some basics. And then obviously there's ones that are going to help you write SQL and like pull from databases, but that's not super important, I don't think, to start. So I wouldn't even worry about that. But hopefully that helps you answer your question. I would definitely try out Plotly for visualizations. And lately I've been writing a lot of custom functions just to keep my code, which is getting quite extensive for work, a lot cleaner. So I definitely work with actually like some base R programming as well, and not just working with loaded in packages from libraries. Also, consider writing your own functions to do different things. That's a great way to like learn the basics of programming, even if it's in R, which isn't really a quote unquote programming language. Just by learning those and learning kind of the syntax of writing real code. And I don't mean real code that your code isn't real code, but hopefully you get the point there. And hopefully that answered your question.
Analyzing data in your head is very different from actually doing it. Data analysis in your head is very different from actually analyzing data, stumbling upon faulty data, and debugging for hours. So what is the right way?
Oh, yeah, by the way, stumbling upon faulty data and debugging for hours is going to be a huge part of your job. There's no way around it. There's nothing you can do to stop it from happening. It's going to happen. It's going to happen probably daily. So just deal with it. Learn how to deal with it more efficiently every time you go. And that's the only way.
To do it? The answer is very simple. Learn by doing.
And good luck
you
with
just
Plotly.
need to get the reps in and start coding.
It's great for
and analyzing data by yourself.
Plotly's great for dashboarding because it gives you a lot of functionality there. Like you can click into a visualization and filter based on that. So definitely check it out.
Excel, I would recommend a website called excelpracticeonline.com, a free website where you learn to use Excel by doing, from the basics to the most advanced functionalities. For SQL, I would recommend the website w3schools.com/SQL. For Power BI, I would recommend DataCamp. There's free courses and also paid ones. For Python, you can go to this free website called learnpython.org. Whether you're practicing every day at your current job, so you can make that switch.
And I haven't even learned some of these ways that you can learn these. I didn't know that Excel website existed. I didn't know that Python site existed. So definitely try to learn those, go through those, and it looks like it would be a great way to learn it because it's like giving you a problem and you have to solve it on your own, and they might give you hints. That's a great way to learn. So definitely check those out if you're trying to learn Excel, if you're trying to learn Python. I'd assume I've seen some things like that for R. I don't know if they have like an extensive one or if it's just like specific packages or not. But go through those, and I think that's a great way to learn some of these different programs. I wish there was one for Tableau, but they just don't, or it's not very publicly offered school like that for Tableau where you can learn it. But if they have it, definitely link it somewhere down below for me because that would help me as well.
To a data analysis career, or whether you're still studying, you need to practice every single day. Only this way will you experience what it's actually like working as a data working as a data analyst. Only then will you learn what it's like to debug.
I like how he leaves this in. I should start doing that because I mess up so much.
That's what you will spend the most time on. Debugging faulty code or correcting faulty data. Being a data analyst is awesome. But this is also the second major mistake most beginners make. They try to solve every problem themselves. The fact is, that error you just got in Power BI, there's a very big chance someone already has experienced exactly the same error as you. And that's good news for you because now you don't have to look for the cause of the error. You just have to copy part of the error message in Google and you probably end up on some Stack Overflow site where someone explains exactly how to solve this error.
Yeah, and that's honestly like a skill in itself is learning how to debug or figure out what the problem is. Sometimes just copying the error code, it might be too general or it might be a rare error. It could be anything like that. If you are able to figure out kind of the syntax of what you're doing and figure out what those are actually called, like if you're trying to turn a column from a data frame into a separate list and you don't know what you're doing exactly and you don't know what any of these things are called or like the syntax of actually typing in your problem into Google, just by learning that you can actually find solutions to problems a lot quicker. So just by going on Stack Overflow or Stack Exchange and trying to debug your code or whatever you're doing there, you can learn a lot just by messing up. So keep that in mind. And that means really don't ever stop trying to learn because even by failing, you're learning. I mean, that's kind of a rule I apply to a lot of different areas of my life. But by failing and doing it in the right way, that's kind of the key to success.
Let's be honest, copying code from Stack Overflow is like 80% of any developer, programmer, or data analyst job. Data analyst is awesome. Okay, now that you know what tool and programming language to pick and how to actually learn it, it's time to build your portfolio. And this will help you build out an attractive CV for recruiters on LinkedIn. Recruiters, I always have talk like this, I know, programmer. It's so programming language and the recruiters talk to me every day. Now, if you have a job where you can apply data analytics already, then do so right away. If you don't really do anything data analytics related, like sales for example, then try to build a report or a dashboard showing some key metrics or KPIs that you can show to your manager. He will appreciate it and you will get to learn your data analysis skills. And if you can't apply it to your current job,
That's a great tip, actually. You can apply data analytics to a lot of different things. And I think if you're trying to make a career change or you're in school still and you might not be studying something directly related to data analytics, you can apply that to whatever you're learning. If you're, I don't know, a journalism major, you could create a data set that has all your different what do you call them, articles, and create a nice dashboard to filter through all of them by topic. That's a cool little project that you can do. It helps you out, get your portfolio out there. You can publish it on something like GitHub and show your friends, show your professors, and I'm sure a lot of them will actually be pretty impressed, especially if you can put that together in a nice manner. So that's a great tip from Stefanovic.
job, or if you're still studying, then start a project on your own at home, because in the end it's about getting that data analyst job. And the best way to do that is as follows.
There's definitely a lot to learn for someone who already has a bachelor's degree to go ahead and get a master's degree, but it's also certifying you.
Pimp up your LinkedIn
That's
profile.
tough, Saber.
I made a video
I'm
before
sorry.
where I gave my
Sorry
top
to hear
5
that.
LinkedIn profile tips to attract
Hopefully
recruiters
better
on
than you
LinkedIn,
thought.
And I'll summarize it here for you. Make sure you put data analyst in as many places as you can in your profile. LinkedIn is a search engine, and if recruiters search for data analyst, you want to be found. You want to be on top of that list. So make sure your header contains the word data analyst. In your work experience, if you've done something data analyst related, put in the keyword data analyst. Once your LinkedIn profile is set up, there's 2 things you can do. Start applying to every single data.
He seems to really like LinkedIn. When I was applying for jobs, LinkedIn was like the worst. I applied to like probably 10 from LinkedIn that I found, and none of them even responded to me. I applied to a lot of internships when I was applying for internships, probably over 100. I didn't really count, but I almost guarantee it was over 100 because I was applying to like 5 or 10 a day at some points. And out of the over 100 I got maybe 10 replies, 5 of which were probably denials. Unfortunately, but I landed in a great role in a great company, so I can't be too mad. But I don't know if LinkedIn is the first place I would start looking for jobs. It seems like it's just so oversaturated, and like any job that you look at on there is already applied to by hundreds. Like, look at this one. Obviously, it's at Tesla. Everybody's applying to Tesla, but over 200 applicants. You have to be like top of the line to even get considered there. And if you're just starting out and trying to land your first data analyst role, I don't know if LinkedIn's the place I'd be looking. Also, Saber, I don't know anything about streaming. If I could stream at a higher quality, I would. To me, it looks like it's good, but I don't know.
Analyst job you can find on LinkedIn or any other job platform. Or the second way, which I prefer, is if you've set up your LinkedIn profile correctly, then recruiters will soon start hunting you. They will invite you
This
to
never
job
happened to
interviews
me.
for data analyst positions. Which brings me to major mistake number 3.
Don't quit. Well, do quit. Let me explain. You see, the second best decision I have ever made in my life was becoming a data analyst. And to become one yourself, the only thing you have to do is don't quit. Whether it will take you 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year, if you keep
I'm
applying,
using OBS.
if you keep improving your skills, updating your CV, you will land that job eventually. And trust me, once you do land that first data analyst job, a world of opportunities will open up for you. You can grow your skills into a senior data analyst or become a freelance data analyst. Or what I eventually did, quit my job as a data analyst. The single best decision in my life was quitting my job as a data analyst. You see, becoming a freelance data analyst gave me the resources to quit my job and pursue a completely different career, creating my own brand while traveling the world. Do not subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm 100% serious. If you're looking for advice and tips on how to become a data analyst and how to build a data analyst career for the rest of your life, then I would recommend subscribing to Luke Barus.
What up, then, nerds?
As he makes way better videos than me. But If you view being a data analyst as a stepping
Yeah. Luke Bruce is awesome. And apparently, I guess 6 months ago, Stefanovic quit making data analyst content, which is unfortunate because it's such high quality and high production value. It would be nice to have that, but Luke is great. Like I said earlier in the stream, Tableau Tim is also great if you're trying to learn Tableau. There's a few others. There's Ken G. There's Tina Huang. A lot of those guys and gals are awesome, and you should definitely check them out. They're much better than I am and going to teach you a lot better than I would ever. But that was a great introduction, I think, into the fastest way to become a data analyst. I think that's all I have. Thank you, guys.